Hey folks, welcome back to ProRPA.com. This week we're gonna talk about PDF automation, right? We know that I'm pretty sure when you're working with the IT some point or the other, or pretty much on daily stuff when you're working on your laptop as well, you must have dealt with the PDF documents, right? PDF documents are majorly used file extension formats where we have like images, texts, and graphics, and audio and videos as well. And we somehow are able to preserve the overall content and the formatting of some data, and can transfer it to any other machine, any other environment altogether, any other OS environment, and we can still use them. They are very comprehensible. They have got a lot of sophisticated features, and many a times, like usually when I travel a lot for my work, I get my, let's say, receipts, hotel receipts, expenses receipts, and all that stuff in the PDF format. So when you're filing the expenses, or when you're doing any sort of work, like many times you might have dealt with like PDF documents being sent to your clients, or you might have got some documents from your superior or from your subordinates, and you might have to work on those. So PDF documents, I don't probably have to mention much about it. It's something very commonly used, right? So in UiPath, we have quite a few activities and the concepts altogether which can be used to automate the PDF documents, right? And by automating the documents, I mean automating the operations that we perform on those documents, right? So I have discussed all of this in greater detail on this week's blog post, so feel free to check that out at ProRPA.com. And let's go with the video demo. Right. So first and the foremost concept that we get for the PDF automation is with the screen scraping, which we have discussed in huge detail in very thoroughly in our output methods blog post. So feel free to check that out. And the other specific PDF related activities that are provided within the UiPath Studio are these two: the read PDF text and the read PDF with OCR. Okay. Let's discuss the first one, the read PDF text. Right. So read PDF text is used to read the text from the PDF document, as the activity itself tells you. The only thing is you can select and extract data which is selectable using this activity. So by selectable, I'll show you an example. On my desktop, I have this PDF document called selectable, right, which is something I got online, and it is actually, let me open it. This is separate. Let me open it in another application, the Adobe Acrobat Reader, which is like the most commonly used application, right? So if you see, you can select this text, right? So anything that is selectable will be copied through the particular activity that I showed, and will be stored in a variable within the UiPath Studio. Now once you have the data in the variable, you can use all your operations, like you can split the data based on any particular delimiters. You can trim the data, some certain characters you can take them out. You can divide it into you can replace some data, you can concatenate it with some other data. There are like a lot of other operations which I'm sure, if you remember, we have discussed, but in the data operations chapter. So once you have data in the text, I mean, there are like, I guess, countless number of possibilities that are possible. Okay, so to use this activity, it's pretty simple. Let me first connect it with the start node, right? What I'm gonna give is, as an input, I'm gonna give the file name, right? And the file name will include the complete directory location of that file, the PDF file, which has to have the selectable data, right? So this is the selectable file that I chose, and if I have to see the properties, it's right here. And then selectable.pdf. Okay, So as you see, the data, this is the file name that we have given, all the complete directory, and the range is like, I shouldn't have closed this down. So the range is exactly like, the way you use when you're using the control, the printing command as well. If you've used these pages, right? This option, if you have like number of pages, let's say how many, in this I have only one, right? But what I can do is, if I have to print, let's say this file has 10 pages, right? Either I can select all, which means all the pages, all the 10 pages would be printed, right? Or would be taken for the operation into consideration. And if I select like specific pages, then I can simply write down as 1, 3, 5, something, xxx, whatever, right? So like you can add any number of pages that you want. You can provide just one page as well, that's also fine. Like number 4 is what you want to print, let's say. So that will print only that particular page. So that's how the range activity is used within the UiPath Studio as well. So here we have all, but even if I put it as, let's say, 1, this has to be in double quotes because it's a string. But even if I put it as 1, this only the first page would be taken into consideration. The particular use case that we have taken here for the selectable PDF, we only have one page, so it's equivalent to the all that was there by default, right? Okay, and once we have chosen the range and the file name, the last thing that we need is the output variable. So just press Ctrl K or set a new variable, and my PDF or anything, you can put any name, right, and hit enter, and we got the PDF document which will be saved in this variable, right? Now if you want to see how it works out, simply use the message box, or you can use the write line activity if you want it to be, if you want your data to be printed in the output console, right? But here all I have to do is choose my PDF variable. It's a string variable, so automatically I'm all set. And let's run this. It's a fairly simple program, right? All this data, this selectable data, would be copied and pasted into the output variable, and then it will be displayed as a message box as well. So if you run this, you see all the data is right here, right? You can play around with this data, try to operate on it. It's all good. Just like, it's all ready for your further processing within this bot that you might be creating, right? So this is a very reliable activity. It's gonna work 100% of the times as long as the data is selectable, right? Okay, so that's one major activity. The next activity that we're gonna talk about within the PDF, which we just showed, is the read PDF with OCR. So anytime an image is into the automation process, we will need to have the OCR engine, right? That's like that should, the OCR word should pop up in your mind right away when you see any image that you have to work with, right? So to read PDF with the OCR, it works in pretty much the same fashion as we discussed just now, the read PDF text activity. However, the OCR engine would be there, and that way the text from an image will be extracted, but the file has to be the PDF because these are like the PDF specific activities, right? So all we have to do is we have to provide the file name, which has the images, the textual images is what I call them. Let me show you an example. I have this image.pdf document in here, and if you see, I won't be able to select this. Even if if I'm trying to select it, I won't be able to, because it's an image. Let me open this in the Adobe Acrobat, and that might make it more clear, right? I'm trying, but nothing, because these are images, right? It's got 3 pages, and all the text that has been provided is in the form of an image. So all we have to do is we have to provide the file name as input, well, same as the last time. And the file name as well. right? And once we have done that, right, we have to choose the OCR engine that we're gonna work with as well, right? Because we have discussed this, we have 2 or 3 different OCR engines: the Microsoft, the Google, and we have the Abby engine as well. And they have their own pros and cons, so you have to work that out and see which one works better for you, which one gets the closer to 100% accurate result. But because of the image automation involved, expecting 100% accurate result at all times would be probably like it's probably not easy to accomplish, is all I can say, right? So you choose the OCR engine, which is gonna be this, let's say Microsoft, because the Microsoft engine, if you remember, I discussed, is used for large amount of text, right? So we are dealing with like large text in here in this document. Depending on if there's gonna be like some specific data that you need to extract, you may want to use Google OCR, and we're also going to discuss the specific data extraction activities in our next week's tutorial. But for this example's sake, let's try and use Microsoft OCR because that makes more sense, right? And so this image would be taken into consideration, the PDF document. The Microsoft OCR engine would come into play, and the output, let's store it in the same variable that we used before, my PDF, right? So once the data would be extracted using this OCR engine from this file, it will be stored in the myPDF variable, and then if we connect it, we want to see how the overall extracted data looks like. So we simply used a message box statement, and let's run this program. So automatically everything is done in the backend. You don't have to, it's not opening up the file. You can open up the file, that's alright, that's totally fine. You can use the open file and the relevant activities, but you don't need to, right? And you can see the data is right here, right? You even got the page number, like the last one is 3. Cool. So that's how we use these PDF related activities. They come very, very handy in many automations, like when I'm dealing with transferring of data from a PDF into any other enterprise application level system, right? Like the Oracle and the SAP ones or the Salesforce ones. These activities come really handy because most of the times, these PDFs are also generated from such systems or any boundary systems that we have. And if your bot is able to read them, then your job of automating the overall process becomes much simpler using these activities, because otherwise you'll have to open the file, you'll have to use way different methodologies, and having a specific package for the PDF actually solves or actually escapes from the overall headache of using or creating capabilities like these, right? So, which also reminds me, if you haven't had the package, just download the PDF package. I remember clicking on this manage packages option and look for the available packages and search for it, and you should be able to see the install option. It's already installed in mine, so it says it has a green tick, right? Okay, this is it for this week. For the screen scraping, do watch out the previous tutorials. We have discussed those in greater detail. All the output activities, the full text, the native, and the OCR over there. I would highly recommend you guys checking that out. So yep, this is it for this week. Please stay tuned for more RPA stuff. And if you want to learn this on a speeder basis, or you want to have a more thorough learning, check out my ebook tutorials, the ebook series which is available on Amazon, the CRISPR Learning series. The links are also provided in the description below. And for video tutorials, we have the Udemy and the Skillshare, so you can check out like the same way I'm discussing here. I've discussed all the chapters, all the capabilities in a very neatly and defined fashion on Udemy and on the Skillshare as well. So feel free to check them out as well. Those resources would be really helpful in case you you have to work with a client, and you have to work really really fast, and you want to just learn it and go ahead and jump on the work. So feel free to check them out as well. They'll be really helpful. All right, thank you very much. Stay tuned, and happy automating. Thanks. Goodbye.